Don't be mad at Caitlin Clark. She's getting $28 million. Don't they want sisters to get paid, or they don't want a white girl to get paid first? I think that's what it is.
Definitely what it is.
Nike handed Caitlin Clark a record-breaking $28 million check and then did the unthinkable. They went completely silent. This wasn't a marketing fumble. It was the beginning of a corporate firestorm that would engulf the entire sports world. The unprecedented deal immediately ignited bitter jealousy from the league's most dominant stars, exposed raw and uncomfortable racial tensions that had been simmering for years, and forced the biggest sports brand on the planet into a state of strategic paralysis, seemingly terrified of the very controversy it had created. The largest endorsement in the history of women's basketball didn't just launch a new star, it ripped the curtain back on a secret war over value, respect, and visibility that had been silently raging just beneath the surface of the sport.
Since she has signed this contract, you guys, and her WNBA season has come and gone. And with that, Nike has not done one thing to promote her. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark signature shoes.
Before her professional career had even logged a single minute, Caitlin Clark had already achieved a level of financial royalty previously unimaginable in women's basketball. The 8-year, $28 million Nike endorsement, won after a fierce bidding war with competitors like Adidas, was far more than a simple contract. It was a dynastic investment and a coronation. Critically, it included the promise of a signature shoe, the holy grail for any athlete, which transforms them from a simple endorser into a legacy brand partner. This monumental gamble on her future was meant to signal the dawn of a new commercial era for the WNBA, but the chaotic aftermath suggested that no one, least of all Nike, was prepared for the cultural shockwaves that would follow.
Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world are they ignoring her?
In the weeks following the historic announcement, the expected marketing blitz never materialized. Instead, there was an eerie and confounding void, as Clark shattered viewership records during the WNBA draft and went on to win the Rookie of the Year award, milestones that would normally trigger a tidal wave of celebratory ad campaigns. The brand's official channels remained conspicuously dormant. This bizarre inaction was a colossal, unforced error, creating a vacuum that was quickly filled with rampant speculation and conspiracy theories. To industry observers, it looked like Nike was either astonishingly incompetent or was deliberately shelving their new superstar for a reason no one could yet understand.
It's Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, Reebok, whoever said, could she sell our shoe? Could we sell our shoe? Because when you sit there and say, Caitlin Clark got $28 million, first of all, that equals $3.5 million a year if you do the division.
Ever since, Angel Reese had that injury, to me, and also coming off of Olympic break, Caitlin Clark separated herself. Yeah. She should have been unanimous. Now, to celebrate her, one thing that people forget is as a rookie, she was the most blitzed player in the WNBA, and she still put up 19, 5, and 8 assists.
While the marketing world was silent on Clark, the court itself unequivocally belonged to A'ja Wilson. As the established heir to the WNBA throne, Wilson had meticulously built a resume of undeniable and sustained greatness. Multiple MVP awards, back-to-back championships with the Las Vegas Aces, and Defensive Player of the Year honors. She was not just a star, she was the league's dominant force, its ultimate standard bearer. Crucially, she was also a long-standing and loyal Nike athlete. Wilson's quiet dignity and consistent excellence made her the perfect foil in the unfolding drama, representing the established, decorated power being seemingly overlooked for the new, headline-grabbing sensation.
When you deal with corporate America, it is no feelings involved. It is purely business. And a lot of people get emotional over race, over how good you are, over if this person's a better basketball player, football player, rapper, singer, whatever. It is all about business for corporations in corporate America. And it's all about, can you sell their product?
The public narrative quickly fractured into two fiercely loyal camps, with social media platforms like X and Instagram becoming the primary battlegrounds. The debate morphed into a heated referendum on what truly defines value, unprecedented media hype, or years of proven professional dominance. A'ja Wilson herself gave a powerful voice to this growing frustration with a strategically timed post, stating, "What is delayed is not denied." That single sentence detonated online, becoming a digital rallying cry that mobilized her fan base and solidified the widespread narrative of deep-seated disrespect from her own sponsor.
A'ja Wilson to have a shoe, and every black young lady to have a shoe. But she's marketable, and I'm not saying you young ladies aren't.
You said A'ja who?
A'ja Wilson.
A'ja Wilson.
So from the Aces?
Yes.
That's what everybody's mad
Oh
about
my
because she
goodness.
doesn't have a
Yeah,
sneaker.
that does make sense.
Right. So I'm not saying she's not marketable, but people are up in a frenzy, and nobody was paying attention when I was talking about this during the NCAA tournament, not the sneaker part.
To comprehend the profound significance of the battle over a sneaker, one must travel back to the cultural landscape of 1995. Before the WNBA had even played its first official game, Nike took a massive leap of faith and gave Sheryl Swoopes her own signature shoe, the iconic Air Swoops. This was more than a product launch. It was a revolutionary cultural landmark. It was the first time a female basketball player was deemed worthy of carrying her own line, a bold declaration that a woman could be a global commercial powerhouse. Swoops kicked down a door that had been bolted shut for generations, setting the precedent for what it meant to truly arrive as an icon in the sport.
Conversations with people in the know, it indeed has something to do with the WNBA MVP and Nike athlete A'ja Wilson.
Into this modern-day feud stepped the original icon herself, and her intervention was anything but constructive. In a widely criticized podcast appearance, Sheryl Swoopes launched into a critique of Clark that was riddled with glaringly false claims, attempting to diminish her historic collegiate accomplishments. The comments were perceived as a bitter attack from the old guard, a legend trying to undermine the next generation. Though Swoopes eventually issued a private apology, the public damage was done. Her words had given a kind of permission slip for others to question Clark's legitimacy, adding a layer of personal animosity to the already volatile situation.
He reports Nike wants to prioritize A'ja Wilson, and it fears the optics of giving a rookie a signature shoe before an already established star who just won league MVP for the third time.
Soon, whispers from industry insiders grew into deafening roars with a shocking new development. Clark's signature shoe was reportedly being intentionally postponed, possibly for years. The rumored motive was even more stunning. Nike was said to be terrified of the optics, fearing the immense public backlash of crowning a white rookie with a signature shoe before finally honoring their established black MVP. The alleged delay wasn't a production issue. It was framed as a calculated, risk-averse corporate maneuver to navigate a public relations minefield of the company's own making.
Going at Boston and rolls it in.
This is going to be a good matchup. Mercedes and A'ja. Wilson on. Let's on.
She said, bring it on. Yeah.
Fall and get back up again. To show that when you stand for something, it will stand forever. Gatorade.
The brand found itself paralyzed, caught in a self-made cultural trap, and facing accusations of corporate malpractice from sports business analysts. This hesitation meant leaving an astronomical amount of money on the table. While Nike stood idle, they were missing out on a gold rush of apparel sales, accessories, and the invaluable brand halo effect Clark was generating daily. The stark contrast between their inaction with Clark and their immediate, aggressive marketing of male rookies like Zion Williamson and LeBron James highlighted a glaring double standard that was impossible to ignore.
Moving through traffic, through three players, four, all the way in. Dishes off to two for the bucket. Oh my goodness.
These got worn a little bit. Well, it's not that they're really falling apart. It's just that I just hooped so hard. Can you read that? Swoops. So when you're up here and people are down there, they can still see your name.
The entire affair exposed the raw central nerve of sports marketing. What exactly sells? It was the ultimate clash of proven dominance versus raw commercial electricity. A'ja Wilson was the decorated champion, the player's player, respected by the hardcore fans who understood the nuances of the game. But Caitlin Clark was the box office phenomenon, a generational talent with the rare, unquantifiable power to sell out arenas nationwide and command the attention of millions who had never watched a WNBA game before. The conflict arose because, in the exclusive world of signature shoes, the box office supernova appeared to be skipping the line.
Here he comes the other way. There's your first James Jam of his career. Whoa.
It was also impossible to detach the controversy from the uncomfortable pattern at its heart. The history of signature shoes in the WNBA was notably sparse, and the handful of athletes who had received them, like Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu, were all white. This stark reality made the Clark Wilson situation feel less like an isolated incident and more like a symptom of a deep-rooted systemic bias within the sports apparel industry. The debate forced a long overdue conversation about whether the concept of marketability had for decades been subconsciously conflated with whiteness in the eyes of corporate America.
Should your scenario take place, Jason, and it steadily declines, I wonder, this actually needs to be studied. What other sports league has diminishing ratings as you get closer to the championship? That would actually embolden the argument that there's a certain guard that now plays in Indiana truly should be the logo of that.
While the boardroom drama and media debates raged, Caitlin Clark was single-handedly rewriting the league's economic future on the court. The Caitlin Clark effect was not a myth, it was a measurable economic boom. Her debut game drew over 2.1 million viewers, the most for any WNBA game on ESPN in history. Attendance didn't just grow, it exploded. Teams were routinely moving their home games against her Indiana Fever into massive NBA arenas just to accommodate the unprecedented demand for tickets. Her presence was a traveling economic stimulus package for the entire league.
It doesn't make any sense at all. And playing the politics where, oh, we need to release Asia's shoe first. Well, no, it's not Caitlin's fault that you haven't done anything for Asia yet. And maybe think about, why haven't you release something for Asia yet? Is it because you're not sure how it will sell? And if that's the truth, like, that's just business. Why are we coddling these women? You wouldn't see this on the men's side. If a brand thinks they're gonna sell shoes with a player, they're gonna release some stuff. They're not going to be like, oh, well, so-and-so has been playing in the league a little bit longer, so I'm going to make sure I get theirs out first, then we'll push Caitlin's 2 seasons. They're saying now that we might not get a signature shoe from Caitlin until 2026 or 2027.
Proponents of Nike's massive investment pointed to a simple economic principle: a rising tide lifts all boats. Clark's immense gravitational pull wasn't stealing the spotlight, it was pulling the entire league into a new orbit of mainstream relevance. Her popularity was the engine driving toward bigger television rights deals, which would inevitably lead to a higher salary cap and better pay for all players. The proof was in the data, as even the reigning champion Las Vegas Aces saw their ticket prices and viewership numbers triple when Clark came to town.
Now let's talk about regular season viewership, not draft viewership. Regular season viewership, it grew by 20% in 2023. It's grown by 180% now, which means it would take another 5 or 6 years to do what Caitlin Clark has done.
It was really great to partner with Shoot Away and be able to give a machine back to Dowling. This is a place that's very special to me, very special to my family. The gun is really easy to use, and that's what I love about it. You only need one person to come in and get a lot of shots up. You can assemble it by yourself, raise it up by yourself. You can go in, get your shots up in a quick amount of time and really get better at your game.
This brand of tension was hardly a new phenomenon. The arrival of a transcendent, media darling rookie has frequently created friction with established veterans who feel their own years of toil are being unfairly overshadowed by hype. The NBA saw it with the resentment Magic Johnson faced, and later with the intense scrutiny on a teenage LeBron James, dubbed the Chosen One before he ever played a pro game. The Caitlin Clark saga was simply the latest, most intense chapter in a familiar story of how established hierarchies react when a powerful, disruptive new force enters their domain.
They put out signature Caitlin Clark balls and other merch that literally sold out within minutes of them going live. The hype that Caitlin Clark had going into this season, we will not see that again. She came off of playing in a national championship game that had over 20 million people tuned into that game, then going straight into the draft, and then going straight into the WNBA and breaking an insane amount of records.
Just when the public thought they had the narrative figured out, a final, stunning revelation changed everything. As Nike finally announced that Ajay Wilson would indeed be getting her own signature shoe, the A1, Wilson herself revealed she had been under a non-disclosure agreement for 2 years. She had known her shoe was coming all along. This extraordinary twist completely reframed the public debate. Wilson was not a victim of corporate oversight, but a brilliant and silent partner in a long-term strategy. She had allowed the public to fight a battle for her that she knew she had already won, building immense public support in the process.
Gatorade's legal?
I mean, they pay me. They Pepsi. It's a Pepsi product. I can drink this one. Pepsi. Pepsi. What? They a Pepsi product. Pay my bills.
Michael, since we handed off in the middle of your question, why don't you ask your question again, please?
Ultimately, the saga of the $28 million contract transcended a simple business deal. It became a defining and messy moment for the future of women's sports, exposing the complex interplay between talent, marketability, racial dynamics, and corporate fear. It has irrevocably set a new precedent for endorsement deals for female athletes. The future negotiations for the next generation of superstars will now begin from a much higher financial baseline, all thanks to the seismic impact of this one contract and the uncomfortable but necessary controversy it unleashed.
I have no issues with Caitlyn. Her breaking the record, I think obviously is a tremendous accomplishment, although, we could get into that discussion also.
Come on, if you're racist and you know it, clap your hands.
Because there was a big debate on Lynette Woodard having the actual record.
While Nike appeared to be strategically frozen, the market was screaming a different story. The public's appetite for anything related to Caitlin Clark was voracious and historically unprecedented. Within a single hour of the WNBA draft, her number 22 Indiana Fever jersey completely sold out on the Fanatics network, shattering the all-time record for any draft pick in any sport. This wasn't just a basketball phenomenon. She was outselling top NFL and NBA draft picks combined. This commercial avalanche served as an undeniable, data-driven rebuttal to any lingering questions about her selling power, making Nike's passive approach all the more bewildering. The off-court jealousy and media-fueled drama seemed to manifest in a very real and physical way on the hardwood. From her first professional game, Clark played with a massive bullseye on her back, subjected to a level of aggression and hard fouls that went far beyond typical rookie treatment. High-profile incidents, like a blindsided hip check from Chennedy Carter that went viral, fueled a national debate about whether she was being unfairly and dangerously targeted. The on-court hostility was widely seen as a direct extension of the resentment brewing off the court, a brutal welcome to the league that felt intensely personal. The entire situation was amplified and arguably manufactured by a modern sports media machine that thrives on conflict. Debate shows and social media personalities framed the narrative in the most simplistic and divisive terms possible: new versus old, hype versus substance, and most toxically, a racial showdown. This relentless churn of hot takes and manufactured outrage transformed a complex issue into a zero-sum war, pitting two incredible athletes against each other while leaving no room for nuance. The athletes became characters in a media-driven drama, and the pressure on Nike to navigate this volatile landscape became almost unbearable. Now with a Ja Wilson's A1 shoe set for 2025 and Caitlin Clark's own signature model looming on the horizon, the narrative has shifted to a new and final battleground, the retail market. The last chapter of this intense rivalry won't be written on the court or in the headlines, but in quarterly sales figures and stock performance reports. This saga, born from a single contract, has forever altered the business of women's sports. While messy and divisive, the controversy has created a new high-stakes financial landscape, ensuring that for the generation of stars that follows, the question will no longer be if they can sell, but simply how much.